Hey there, everyone, and welcome, developers. Today, we're going to walk through how developers can gain access to the DIMO API and access other DIMO connected vehicle data. I'm your host, Joe, and I'm here joined by Head Developer Relations at DIMO, James Lee.
Hey Joe, and welcome developers.
Okay, so before we dive in, got to give a quick intro to DIMO. It stands for Digital Infrastructure for Moving Objects, all moving objects, but right now we're focused on vehicle and automotive stuff. Right now we're building a network that gives drivers control over their driving data, kind of unprecedented for the first time. And we recently passed the 100K vehicle milestone, which was a big deal for the ecosystem.
Yeah, that definitely sounds very exciting for developers, right?
That it does, James. So, what are some of the applications that a developer could build around car data?
Well, Joe, I'll have to be frankly with you, I'm not a car nerd per se, but I've worked in the mobility industry long enough to share some food for thought. So here goes, a gas station or EV charger locator app that's streamlined with your vehicle sensor data to reduce range anxiety. A digital marketplace to buy, sell, lease, and even finance your cars. A fair to play ride hailing service where cryptocurrencies are accepted broadly. Or maybe just a game where I could just showcase my driving journey with my friends, unlocking maps that are fogged up and clearing those fogs and so on and so forth.
That sounds awesome. Really green field. A lot of applications and use cases that could be built with vehicle data. So, really sounds like anything related to telemetry and the car itself can be built.
Yeah, exactly. Everything that you need to start building using DEMO data is available via our newly launched developer platform. The platform is a portfolio, a collection of APIs, SDKs, tools, and documentation to help developers work on an application or simply an integration. To begin with the developer journey, simply head to our developer platform documentation via the QR code that's shown on the screen. You'll probably need to also identify what you need before you build. So it's kind of like understanding what you want to do. But getting a developer license and an API key is the first step. We also have a few API endpoints that are public where you could just play around with public on-chain data without needing any license or API keys.
Cool. Can you explain a bit more about what's shown publicly and what's not as far as the vehicle data goes?
Absolutely. Let me share my screen here real quick.
Yeah, give us that first-hand view of the identity API and telemetry API.
All right. So public information such as make, model, year are not gate kept and they're available via our identity API. So think of this as kind of like a yellow page of all vehicles in the DEMO universe. You
Yep.
can you can write some easy GraphQL queries and get the make, model, year distribution of all the connected vehicles in the network. So here I'm running this
Execute
query.
that query. Yeah.
Yep, I'm running this query that shows all the first 100 vehicles for Ford. The simple query here tells us what make, model, year are the Fords being connected. This is all done without any authorization headers, so no API keys whatsoever. And the nature of the GraphQL is it's self-documenting and it avoids overfetching for developers. So this is all good news for you.
Nice. I like that. You can get a glimpse there without any special credentials, start to play around, see what's available. Almost like getting a bird's eye view of the network or the nostalgic, thick yellow pages that you referenced. Pretty fancy way to get on-chain data.
For sure. Our engineering team is small but mighty. They've worked real hard on getting what's important to the developers that are just peeking from afar, surfaced via this GraphQL API. From here on, once the developers are ready to explore deeper, comes our user privacy first permission layer.
Cool, cool. Tell me more. Let's say I see the 20,000 Teslas you have connected. What do I do next?
Good question. Well, the next thing that you need to do to tap into these 20,000 Teslas is that you need a developer license. This is basically our take on getting a developer registered. So think DIMO as the app store for car-related applications. You'll need to first obtain a developer license in order for you to be represented and that you could ask your end users for data permissions.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just like the Apple App Store, you kind of have to be a registered developer to have your app on it to keep all the crap out. So how do I register myself with DIMO?
Well, the first thing that you'll need to do, Joe, is log on to console.demo.xyz. So I'm going to let you do that.
All right, I've got my developer console right here.
Cool. Well,
Why don't we go ahead and sign up?
Yep. So think of this as the AWS console or the GCP console where you can manage your applications and access. So you'll be taken into the
Cool.
onboarding page and you'll need to connect your, tell us a little bit of what you're building so that we know who you are.
My company's name is going to be Drive to Survive at www.d2s.com. I'm North American based, and it's going to be a utility for playing around with your vehicles there. So I'm going to finish sign up, and here I am on the home page.
Yep. And once you've completed the registration steps, you're taken into the onboarding page right here. From here on, you'll need to connect your Web3 wallet that'll pay and act as the holder of the developer license. And then you'll create and manage all the applications that you're going to build.
Okay, so what wallets do you support, and what's like the expected price of a license?
Well, Joe, we use RainbowKit to integrate with Web3 wallets. So for those of you that are not familiar with Web3 wallets, it is essentially just an account that has access to the funds in cryptocurrencies. In this current iteration, your wallet should hold a certain threshold of DIMO tokens to pay for the license and some MATIC to pay for gas.
Cool, that makes sense. I'm all logged in and registered. Should I go ahead and connect my wallet?
Yeah, you want to try doing that?
Switching to Polygon Network, as that's where DIMO is established.
Yep.
I just connected my wallet, and I have enough DIMO and MATIC to perform actions. What should I do next?
At this point, what's left is to create a project and an app. So simply, you'll need to click on Create an App and fill in some basic information about your project namespace and your application that you're building. The project namespace is basically the alias of your developer license. So we recommend you choosing something that's related to your public-facing profile because that's what the end users will be seeing. And as for the app name, it's simply an internal identifier for your team. And since you're looking to develop apps for connected vehicles, there's not a direct way for us to onboard onto the sandbox environment here, since there are very, very few test vehicles on the Polygon testnet. So this might sound a little bit unintuitive. You should be testing and developing on mainnet directly.
Cool. That makes sense. Are there any future plans for testnet development?
Yes, we're looking to launch a vehicle simulator later, and that should open up development on testnet.
Yeah, vehicle simulator sounds super cool and would be very useful for developers. And I can simulate having a Lambo, hopefully.
Well, circling back to the license part, once you've approved spending of DIMO tokens and signed the transactions to pay for gas, you should have your project and application created.
All right, so I hadn't created an account yet, so I shared my screen to show you what a clean onboarding looks like. But James is going to take over now because he's got a profile all set up with some projects already and a test account.
Yes, now you're seeing my developer console. I'm logged in and you can see two of my applications. Now simply click into any app to finish up the configuration. Here I'm clicking through my test app number 2. In this configurational page, you'll see a public-facing client ID that's assigned to your project and 2 other fields that you need to configure. The first one is an API key. The second field is a redirect UI. For the API key, you simply hit on Generate Key. You'll be asked to sign a transaction on the blockchain. Once confirmed, you'll see your API key pop up. The second field is this redirect UI, and this can be anything of your choice since an API integration is not really doing any redirects. But if you're interested in using our login to DIMO experience, a redirect UI will be a lot more relevant, but can always be configured later. So here I will be doing something like this. I'm also signing a small transaction here. Pay a little small gas fee in Matic since you're interacting with the blockchain.
Boom. Google set as an authorized redirect URI. You got your project set up. Seems like you're ready to start building.
Yes, wasn't that simple?
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward to get onboarded. I guess the hard part is the building of the apps and playing around with all the data. So, what should I anticipate as the next steps? How do I get going?
Well, stay tuned for our next session where we'll talk more about accessing non-public data and usage of our developer SDKs. All right, and before we wrap up, join our Discord channel if you have any development questions.
Absolutely. The DIMO Discord server is definitely the one-stop shop for asking questions and linking up with other developers and swapping learnings. But as far as getting into the developer console, getting all set up with an account and a dev license and configuring projects, that's kind of what we got for our first session. So thank you so much, James, for walking us through that, doing some demos and showing off what it might look like getting up and running with building your first app on DIMO.
Thank you, Joe.
We'll see you in the second session.
Later. Bye-bye.